He insisted he had best case a year to live, and then his final few months vanished even faster than anyone had dared to predict. That single statement has reverberated throughout health circles, raising both alarm and urgency around the silent menace known as pancreatic cancer. Today we grapple head-on with the question, why is pancreatic cancer still so devastatingly effective at sneaking up on people? And what radical measures are experts now embracing to intercept it before it can escalate into the most lethal of diseases? In this deep dive, we will explore the astonishing truth behind the new screening program that aims to spot danger signs in people who seem healthy on the surface, the jaw-dropping link between sudden-onset diabetes and pancreatic cancer, and why over 60-year-olds are right in the crosshairs of this high-stakes medical hunt. We will also journey through the stories of famous figures who succumbed to the disease. In the process, we will discuss the fundamental reason why the outlook for this particular cancer remains so grim, and whether new scientific breakthroughs might finally offer a glimmer of hope. From the outside, the situation can sound almost too dramatic to be real. Pancreatic cancer is dubbed the silent killer because, for many, there are no obvious signs until the cancer has reached an advanced stage. Most patients do not experience blatant alarm bells. Instead, they might notice subtle changes that could be dismissed as ordinary fluctuations in weight or digestive patterns, things that are easy to overlook. By the time these signals become impossible to ignore, the disease may already have spread like invisible wildfire. Imagine going about your daily life, occasionally feeling a bit bloated, or noticing that your appetite seems a little off, but chalking it up to stress at work. Then, within a few weeks, you lose weight unexpectedly. You visit your doctor, only to hear the chilling words, "We need to run some urgent tests." That sequence of events is all too real, in a world where pancreatic cancer claims the lives of just over 10,000 individuals every single year in one country alone. Nobody wants to face a scenario where they realize the cancer is advanced, and only a slim chance of effective treatment remains. But this new pilot program in general practitioner clinics across England hopes to change precisely that. More than 300 clinics are set to participate, armed with a funding injection of £2 million to identify individuals considered to be at high risk. This group includes two sets of people, the over 60 population suddenly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and those who experience abrupt, mysterious weight loss. The medical rationale is straightforward but startling. Many patients with pancreatic cancer develop diabetes out of nowhere because the tumor disrupts insulin production, effectively introducing a sudden sugar regulation crisis in their body. You might be wondering, how serious is this issue, and can it really be caught quickly enough to make a difference? The sobering truth is that if pancreatic cancer is already widespread in the body, by the time it is diagnosed, survival chances are heartbreakingly slim. But if doctors succeed in detecting it early, while it is confined to the pancreas, survival rates for at least 1 year rise significantly. It is still a daunting challenge, but it is a challenge that might just be surmountable with modern imaging techniques, thorough blood tests, and quick action. Right now, the statistics show that only about 1 in 5 patients with pancreatic cancer ever learns of their condition in time for surgery or other early interventions. More than half of all people who receive the diagnosis die within 3 months. These dramatic numbers underscore why the new pilot scheme seems like a pioneering leap in early detection, a much-needed shift from constant heartbreak to a genuine possibility of extending life. Consider the famous faces we have lost to panoramic headlines around this disease. The revered actor Alan Rickman, beloved for his unforgettable portrayal of a certain magical professor, discovered his condition too late. He was gone in what felt like the blink of an eye, leaving millions of fans in shock. The same heartbreak befell Patrick Swayze, whose public battle revealed how insidious the disease could be, a fight that seemed heroic but ended in tragedy. Even in the tech world, Apple's visionary co-founder Steve Jobs wrestled with pancreatic cancer for years. His saga offered glimpses of hope that new forms of surgery, dietary experiments, or technological innovations might help him prevail, but ultimately the disease proved too formidable. Famous or not, the son or daughter of a loved one, a best friend, an unsuspecting neighbor, pancreatic cancer does not discriminate. It creeps up on individuals across demographics, though the risk rises substantially with age. Almost half of all cases occur in people over 75. Yet, in recent times, doctors have noted a baffling uptick among younger women in their 20s. That puzzling trend is fueling fresh research, especially as no similar spike has been observed in young men. Could lifestyle, obesity trends, or genetic factors be at play? The search for answers is ongoing, but it underscores just how unpredictable this particular cancer can be. Behind the scenes, experts believe that the interplay between smoking, obesity, and certain hereditary factors can create a perfect storm in which pancreatic cells become abnormal. Charities that focus on cancer research, as well as leading oncologists, warn that while not everyone with these risk factors will develop the disease, the likelihood is still higher if you expose yourself to certain triggers. That is why prevention and early symptom awareness are absolutely crucial. Catching glimpses of the disease early on, seeing even minor suspects of digestive changes or unexplained weight loss, can potentially buy precious time that might make the difference between life-saving surgery and an incurable diagnosis. Now, with this groundbreaking pilot project, general practitioners are being empowered to contact patients who fit the high-risk profile. Imagine being on the receiving end of a call. "Good afternoon, this is your GP practice. We notice that you have recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, or we see a pattern of sudden weight loss. We would like you to come in for some additional tests and possibly a scan." While it might sound frightening to receive that phone call, it is in fact exactly the type of proactive approach that might save a life. As soon as patients come in, doctors will run urgent blood tests and, if needed, arrange scans such as computed tomography or specialized imaging. It is all part of a strategy to peek inside the pancreas early, look for suspicious masses or anomalies, and then either rule out the presence of any malignancy or catch it while it is in its infancy. If a tumor is found, swift steps can be taken: potential surgery, targeted therapies, or clinical trials that might offer a chance to keep the disease contained. But will this new approach really work? Health experts are cautiously optimistic. In many ways, the plan aims to replicate some of the success seen with screening programs for other cancers, such as colonoscopy checks for colorectal cancer or mammograms for breast cancer. The difference, though, is that pancreatic cancer has long been elusive in routine screenings, precisely because it has a habit of hiding behind ambiguous symptoms. Thus, focusing on those who have recently developed diabetes or shed weight unexpectedly gives clinicians a tangible subpopulation to target. This pivot toward early detection is also a response to the deeply troubling survival rates. As it stands, while many other forms of cancer have seen major doorways to advanced treatment and improved outcomes, pancreatic cancer's bleak picture has stubbornly lagged. Only about 1 in 20 people will still be alive a decade after the diagnosis. It is sobering to think that many individuals who get the news of pancreatic cancer effectively face a dramatic countdown. Yet, as the new pilot program is rolled out, the sense in the medical community is that the tide can be turned. If just 300 more cases get picked up at the early stage each year, thanks to this screening initiative, hundreds of lives may be significantly prolonged. Doctors emphasize that even an additional 6 months or a year can be immensely meaningful for families, particularly if it provides an opportunity for direct treatments that might, in certain cases, lengthen survival even more. This begs the question, how can all of this truly be groundbreaking? The short answer is that never before have general practitioners, who are typically the front line for most health concerns, been so thoroughly equipped to connect these dots with the help of streamlined funding, specialized resources, and data analysis. The pilot employs real-world data from existing patient records, people who do not yet realize they might be at risk, but show red flags in the bigger picture. By having doctors conduct methodical outreach, there is a far better chance that deeply hidden tumors will not slip through the cracks. If you are finding this exploration valuable, feel free to show your support by subscribing to this channel or platform, so we can keep delving into topics that may just save lives, or, at the very least, transform how we think about crucial health issues. Moreover, one factor that makes the screening concept so compelling is that, for many potential patients, it can be relatively simple. Checking for new onset diabetes in older patients is not complicated. It is a matter of noticing a pattern in blood sugar tests, investigating lifestyle changes, and questioning how recently the person has been experiencing these issues. Likewise, abrupt weight loss is not always a sign of cancer, but it is an observation that begs for thorough diagnostic checks. This curious phenomenon, where half of all people diagnosed with pancreatic cancer were found to have diabetes or significant blood sugar concerns, reinforces just how intertwined the pancreas is with other bodily functions. The pancreas, shaped somewhat like a tadpole lodged behind the stomach, is pivotal both for digestion and for producing hormones that regulate blood sugar. When malignancies affect those insulin-producing cells, you can imagine how quickly it unravels multiple aspects of health. It also means that a new type of shock can await individuals who walk into a clinic expecting to hear a run-of-the-mill report about borderline diabetes and leave with the revelation that they could be at risk for something far more sinister. And yet, ironically, if that risk assessment leads to a timely scan that detects the cancer early, a life might be saved. In this sense, knowledge can be the most powerful tool. But let us not forget that the heartbreak of a late-stage discovery is still the norm. Families often recall how their loved ones only realized something was seriously wrong when months of inconspicuous symptoms suddenly evolved into jaundice, yellowing of the skin and eyes, alongside darkened urine or severe digestive distress. At that point, a thorough check can reveal that the worst-case scenario is already underway. The question we must ask is, can such devastating damage be curtailed before it steals precious vitality? The pilot program's architects certainly hope so. They see diabetic clinics and routine GP checkups as a potential goldmine of early leads. By swiftly scanning those who have abrupt sugar regulation troubles, or who have wasted away 10 or 15 pounds in a short period of time without any clear cause, the possibility of nabbing the disease before it escalates is improved. Admittedly, many of these patients will not have pancreatic cancer, and that may lead to some false alarms. But the possibility that a fraction of them will indeed have early-stage tumors is enough to justify the effort and resource investment, if it spares families the tragedy of an abrupt end. Consider the emotional toll on the patient. Pancreatic cancer does not just attack physically, but psychologically too. Many patients feel physically depleted in ways they cannot put into words. Some say they have a persistent sense that something is off, but they cannot pinpoint exactly why. Because the disease is so lethal, the sense of dread can be overwhelming. That is why tying in these urgent screenings with mental health support can be crucial. If one receives that ominous phone call from the clinic, they need resources not just regarding the physical tests, but also skilled guidance in coping with the stress. Take a moment to reflect on how the big names faced it. Patrick Swayze famously tried to keep up an optimistic front, even continuing some creative work during periods of remission. Alan Rickman's diagnosis blindsided his fans, who only found out fully after his passing. Steve Jobs leveraged his financial resources and scientific curiosity to pursue a myriad of unconventional treatments. In the end, the unspoken truth is that modern medicine still lags behind the cunning nature of this disease. That is precisely why new ambitious screening approaches feel like a long overdue shift toward offense rather than defense. The big question remains: will local general practitioners, already overwhelmed by daily demands, be able to implement this pilot effectively? Are there enough specialists and imaging machines to handle a potential surge of patients flagged as high risk? Proponents of the pilot say the resource has been carefully balanced, with the £2 million budget reflecting an awareness of logistical challenges. They also emphasize that local clinics will receive the support they need in the form of direct funds, scanning capacity, and appropriately streamlined guidelines so that doctors can quickly recognize those vital triggers. Furthermore, public health figures champion the notion that once the pilot demonstrates success, which they believe could be indicated by an increase in early interventions, it will be scaled up across the entire country. That expansion, if it occurs, may mark a watershed moment in how the medical profession addresses pancreatic cancer. And if that happens, it could usher in an era where people are far less likely to stumble into late-stage reality and far more likely to get a head start in the fight. No one is pretending this will be easy. Cancer is a formidable adversary, and the pancreas, with so many blood vessels and crucial organs around it, poses challenges even for surgeons who catch the tumor early. Post-operative risks can be high, and some people are not deemed suitable candidates for surgery if the disease has already begun to migrate. Yet, in those precious cases where it is discovered early enough, surgeons can remove part or all of the pancreas, and certain targeted therapies can be administered to keep cancerous cells at bay. Even an extra few months can grant people priceless time with their families. That is the message from countless families who have weathered this storm. Every day matters. And if you are finding these insights valuable and want to stay on top of medical advancements that can directly impact you or your loved ones, feel free to like this video or post. Simple gestures like that let us know that this content resonates, and it encourages us to continue unearthing crucial knowledge that might make a difference. One detail that the pilot scheme highlights is the pressing need for better nutritional support when patients experience sudden weight loss. Weight drifting down might initially be seen as a sign of getting in shape or reducing sugar intake, but when it happens out of the blue, especially in an older adult with no significant diet changes, it becomes a red flag. Identifying those individuals so doctors can act swiftly could prove life-altering. During the pilot, participants will be urged to share detailed accounts of their medical history, nutritional habits, and any potential family predispositions. Since around 1 in 10 cases of pancreatic cancer has a hereditary angle, knowing whether siblings or parents face similar challenges can be a key piece of the puzzle. Lifestyle factors, such as whether the patient is a long-term smoker or has struggled with obesity, will be carefully evaluated. These interviews and preliminary assessments will lead to comprehensive imaging, possibly including computed tomography scans that can spot suspicious growths. If the scans are inconclusive but the patient still displays symptoms, doctors might order additional imaging or further specialized tests. The entire chain of events is designed to leave no stone unturned, ensuring that no patient with genuine risk is overlooked. Of course, we cannot talk about this subject without acknowledging that pancreatic cancer is not the only disease that can emerge suddenly and race toward advanced stages without clear warnings. But it is indeed one of the worst offenders in that regard, boasting an unacceptably high mortality rate that has not shifted much over recent decades. Other forms of cancer enjoy earlier detection through more straightforward screening, like mammograms or colonoscopies, each of which has significantly altered outcomes for breast and bowel cancers. Now, the hope is that this pilot scheme can do the same for pancreatic cancer, bridging that gap in detection methods. The pilot also backs a broader conversation about the role of healthcare systems in proactively reaching out to patients. Traditionally, many systems are reactive. You feel something is off, you go to a doctor, but in the age of digital patient records, advanced data analytics, and a more holistic view of risk factors, it is possible for clinicians to track patterns that patients might not see themselves. In a sense, the silent killer thrives on the passivity of standard approaches. This pilot aims to flip that script. That does not mean the pilot is without skeptics. Some question whether the substantial funding might be better spent on research into new treatments or public awareness campaigns about broader lifestyle risks. Others caution about the anxiety that comes from telling newly diagnosed diabetic patients that they may face a hidden threat. But the prevailing sentiment among oncologists and public health officials is that early investigation, even if it provokes some anxiety, is likely a far better scenario than letting the disease remain undetected. Moreover, the question of personal responsibility arises. Many of the risk factors for pancreatic cancer, such as smoking and carrying excess weight for many years, are partially within personal control. That is not a guarantee of avoidance, but it accentuates the idea that living a healthier lifestyle can reduce but not eliminate risk. Interviews with experts point to the fact that even individuals who have followed all the recommended guidelines can still develop the disease. Hence, screening remains an essential tool. One especially riveting aspect of this story is how an incredibly frustrating riddle, why does the disease show up so late, is being answered through the diabetes clue. Medicine has known for a while that there is a correlation between pancreatic cancer and new onset diabetes after a certain age, but systematically harnessing that clue, turning it into a robust screening approach, is an enormous step forward. If enough older patients are tested and scanned promptly, we may finally see that downward slope in deaths that has so far been elusive. In the broader lens of medical history, this approach fits within a wave of personalized medicine that tailors interventions to those at highest risk. Instead of blanketing the entire population with identical tests, these efforts zero in on specific subgroups, like older patients with new blood sugar issues. By focusing the screening net in this way, healthcare providers can be more certain that resources are utilized effectively while not drowning everyone in excessive or expensive imaging. It is interesting, too, how the pilot might evolve over time. With more knowledge gleaned from the data, perhaps discovering additional red flags that predict pancreatic cancer risk, officials might one day expand the criteria or refine them. The future could hold advanced blood biomarkers that can detect the disease even before tumors become visible on scans, or a revolution in how we treat early-stage pancreatic tumors. Indeed, there is ongoing research into immunotherapies, hormone-like treatments, and the potential of gene editing or vaccines to stop cancer in its tracks. But at present, the main war is still fought with detection, scanning, and the dream of catching malignant changes when they are small and localized. After all, a diagnostic test that reveals cancer early can literally be the difference between a meticulously planned surgery that removes that portion of the pancreas and a heart-rending conversation where the only option is to manage pain and make the patient comfortable. It is vital for anyone listening to this that we emphasize how possible warning signs, like prolonged digestive upset, repeated constipation or diarrhea, sudden shifts in appetite, or persistent abdominal discomfort, deserve attention. Most often, these issues will not point to something as grave as pancreatic cancer, but ignoring them for too long could be dangerous. Sometimes, what might appear to be minor or fleeting signals can be the harbinger of a deeper underlying issue. Equally important is the conversation about hope. Whenever we spotlight a disease with such a lethal reputation, it can feel overwhelming, as though the best we can hope for is a few extra months. But medical progress has surprised us in the past. Other once dire diseases have become manageable or even curable when tackled with the right combination of early diagnosis, targeted therapies, and persistent scientific innovation. Pancreatic cancer has been overdue for its own moment of transformation, and experts remain highly motivated to ensure that transformation is near. We also must remember that in the full sweep of personal experience, even an extension of life by half a year or a year can be profoundly meaningful. Families can gather, loved ones can share final goodbyes or accomplish long-dreamed-of goals, and patients can take advantage of palliative care options that deliver a sense of dignity and comfort. Yet the ultimate dream, of course, is to shift that narrative from painfully brief reprieves to genuine long-term survival. In the end, the question we pose is this: can this new approach become the keystone for a groundbreaking chapter in pancreatic cancer treatment? If the pilot's data is encouraging, we could see a nationwide program that systematically tracks older individuals with suspicious indicators, nabbing the disease before it grows unstoppable. If that happens, it will mean a wave of newly hopeful patients, a new wave of medical success stories, and possibly the day when we see a real dip in the sobering statistics that have for too long defined pancreatic cancer. For now, keep an eye on this pilot, and if you or anyone you know fits this high-risk profile, whether due to sudden onset diabetes or perplexing weight loss, take it seriously and consider speaking to a medical professional about routine checks. The silent killer only remains silent if we let it. By amplifying awareness and demanding timely medical attention, we can work collectively toward forging a better outcome. Thank you for joining today's discussion. This is a health story that affects not only those in their later years, but all of us who fear the unknown lurking in our bodies. Stay informed, talk to your loved ones about these crucial insights, and take action if you sense something is not quite right. Every piece of knowledge adds up in the fight to thwart pancreatic cancer from claiming more lives. May the future bring us the success stories we have dreamed of, and may those who are most vulnerable be enfolded into a more proactive, life-saving framework.